Hey everyone, welcome back to 321 Michigan, where we highlight small businesses, organizations, and people who are doing amazing things right here in Michigan. Today, I'm joined by Stephen Donley. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to talk about what we do and how we can help different people around Michigan.
Awesome. And so you're from Eco Smart Home Pros. Make sure I say it correctly. And you have a couple different locations in Michigan, which is great. So you're not only based here where I am in Marquette, but you're also in the lower peninsula too. So you guys have a pretty wide spread and not even just in Michigan, I suppose. You guys can do work in different areas, which is great.
Absolutely, yeah, you're correct on that one. So yeah, we're headquartered here in Muskegon, Michigan, which is where I'm at right now. We opened up our second location in Marquette, Michigan last year, where we've got two employees that work out of that space. They actually work out of a co-working space that you guys are very familiar with on this show, Campfire Co-working. And yeah, we do travel outside of Michigan. So we service a large area within Michigan. We typically focus right now on Western Michigan in the Lower Peninsula and kind of like the greater Marquette area for the UP. But we'll go as far as Houghton, Sault Ste. Marie, Escanaba. All those places certainly aren't off limits or anything like that. And then we actually have clients that we work with in Florida. So yeah, we've traveled quite a bit for our services.
Awesome. And so tell me a little bit about what it is that you guys do, specifically what you're working on right now with your clients and the types of tech and things that people are asking for. Because I know it is a wide range, but at least give us a little synopsis.
Absolutely. This is a 4-hour podcast, right? So we've
Yeah,
got time.
lots of time.
Um, no. So yeah, we're a smart home integrator, is kind of the industry lingo for what we do. But basically, what that means is we deal with technology in the home and the workplace and making sure it all connects together, it works together. So, for example, taking people's computers, the Wi-Fi networking, servers, making sure everything is built to work on its own thing, as well as tying everything together. So things like your door access control. You walk into the office, the lobby lights turn on, you start walking down the hallway, there's a motion sensor that turns that on. Maybe the CEO walks into his office, music starts playing, or maybe you walk into your house and your favorite news channel turns on. Or vice versa, you leave and everything shuts down. So that's some of the basic stuff. When it comes to like the smart home technologies, some of our favorite ones to work with include like automated shades, because they actually, if people aren't familiar with that, they're actually motorized shades that you can set to go up and down. And most of us kind of use our shades just as a light filter. So we're opening and closing depending on, do we want to see outside or not? Are you a hermit like me? Are you outdoorsy? Stuff like that. But shades and drapes and all of that actually have the additional function of providing insulation.
Mm-hmm.
So they are incredibly important when it comes to heating and cooling your home. And an automated shade actually lets you automate that process. So maybe it is sunny outside. You can actually have them open up rather than having your furnace kick on and heating up the house. You're actually just using natural sunlight to heat it up instead, and then have them close down in the winter when you are heating your home with the furnace to help keep that heat in. So it has a huge impact on your heating and cooling costs by having something like that. And especially if you have a mid-size or a large home, opening and closing a bunch of shades and drapes and all of that can take some time. And we don't always want to do it. So again, automating that is super convenient. So that's something that we
Sure.
absolutely love working with. Another one is our lighting control systems. So actually having lights that dim, because reducing the amount of light, how bright they are, can actually have a dramatic impact on your energy usage as well, while barely being able to be noticed by your average person. So
Interesting.
kind of again helps with that energy savings, which leads into our name, Eco Smart Home Pros. Not only are we huge technology people, we do want to help people be sustainable,
Mm-hmm.
reduce their reliance on the um, the energy grid, all of that.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing more of that. And the nice thing about what you guys do is that you take the burden of searching for what actually is the best options and like what is going to actually do what it says and be the most efficient, because there's so much on the market now and it's so difficult to know what's good and what's worth investing in, especially when you're talking about your home. um, like you guys do a lot of work where you're running wires and things, and if you invest in something that's not good and you have someone do all that work and it fails in a year or two, like that's a lot of redo and an
Mhm.
expense. I've recognized, not even just for us here at the co-working space, but for some of the clients that I've seen you speaking with, that you take that into consideration when you're working with them, making sure that they get the best options for them on the market, and or at least presenting them with it. Obviously, you can
Mhm.
only do so much for the customer has to make their own decisions based on
Mhm.
budget and time frames and things like that. But it's huge that you, because not it's not even just the money necessarily, but people just don't have time. Like most of
Mhm.
us are very time poor, and to be able to have someone do all that research for you is a huge help. So it's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's honestly that's one of my favorite parts. So I used to work at Best Buy, and I worked in the computing department. So a large part of my training there when it came to sales was asking questions, get to know the customer so you can recommend the right product for them. And we take that same philosophy here.
Hmm.
So it's get to know them, talk with the client. Whether is this home, is this business? What are the main priorities? Is there a budget that we should be trying to work with? What is the best situation that we can build within the budget, within their needs, without going overboard or without being something that's probably going to be a little bit disappointing?
Hmm.
So 100%, that's exactly what we strive for whenever we're talking about any sort of solution with our
Awesome.
clients.
And I think that shows too in just the continuous kind of rapport you keep with your clients. And
Mhm.
we've been really, really happy. Like it's made a huge difference from a business standpoint from us. Sound mitigation was our number one problem here at the co-working space. And we had no budget to speak of. And it was a significant problem. Like we grew to the point this summer where if we hadn't had you come in at the time that you did, we probably wouldn't have been able to make it. Like we would have ruined our business because the quality that people were getting, like the experience they were getting here was, it would have been really, really bad. Um, and so not only from a home perspective, but from a business perspective, I think there's big advantages to what you guys do that can make a huge difference, for the, again, like the experience, or um, even just the, like you said, the footprint, or being more aware of like just what the options are and not
Yeah.
wasting time and money,
Yeah.
because especially as a business owner, that's super important.
Right. Yeah. Yep. 100%. Yeah. We take on the huge task of like researching and again making sure that we find the right solutions.
Hmm.
Because yeah, I'll never say that we know everything off the top of our heads, but we are really good at finding the answers and we know what questions we're looking to be answered
Hmm.
when it comes to that stuff. So we're pretty efficient when it comes to like, hey, this company needs this really weird solution. Here are 5 options we found. We start to dive in. We talk to people. We start to get to know like the salespeople, the engineers at those companies. In certain situations, I've even gotten to know some of the CEOs of some of these companies as we try and figure out like, hey, what's going to be the right solution and what's actually going to work for that client.
Exactly. So with all that in mind, what do you see kind of the next end of the year here and coming up in the beginning of next year? What are the projections for you guys? What do you have coming up?
Yeah, we're very excited because we've had a lot of growth over the last few months, and we've seen a lot of that specifically in the last like 6 to 8 weeks. So, like as we said, we opened up our Marquette location. It was about a year ago. It's when we kind of more officially were like, "Hey, we are here. We exist."
Mhm.
We had enough people trained that we were like, "Hey, they can go out and get everything started." So yeah, we're super excited about getting into year two because we've met a lot of great business owners, we've met a lot of homeowners, we've met people in the construction trade, and we're starting to see things coming in from that. People are starting to understand what it is we do, because you said at the beginning there is a lot that we're capable of doing, and it's really hard to convey that. So it's usually piecemeal things that we talk about, like, hey, we do some of the sound stuff. Here's a client that we did that for. If you want, we can get you in there, take a look at it, doing lighting things, displays, different items like that. And now that we've done some of that work in the UP, we've got that ability to start showing people in that area. And then obviously we have our clients that we've had down here in Muskegon for quite some time that have always had that option because we've been doing that work. We have a huge marina project that we're working on, that's been getting a lot of news attention. So that's been a very easy way to say, hey, look at some of the things we're capable of doing. Because there the property itself is just over 30 acres, and we've covered a huge portion of it with security, like cameras, access controls, all that, as well as a large portion of that campus already has Wi-Fi across it. And by the end of the project, the entire property is expected to have public Wi-Fi available.
That's very cool.
So despite being a small company with 4 employees, that's a huge project for us, and really shows that we can scale up to meet some of these different things that are happening. So like different items that are happening around the state, there's been a lot of talk with some of the larger companies moving in. So I know like Orbian just started over by Houghton. Huge deal for them. And we're starting to see more of those across the state. We're hoping that to be able to catch the eye of some projects like that, whether it's the people that work for those companies, construction companies that are building those facilities, or subcontracting on those facilities, so that we can come in and be like, hey, yeah, you've got some of these things. Have you thought about like how all of this is going to connect over the next year or 5 years? Making sure everything's planned now so that they don't spend additional money later taking down drywall or a steel
Exactly.
wall or whatnot. So
Mhm.
making sure that at least the wiring is run, even if they're not going to do the full implementation right now.
Exactly.
So that's what we're looking forward to. That's where we're heading. There's a lot of talk in Michigan around affordable housing, middle class housing. That's been a huge problem across the country. So we're trying to talk with different developers and companies that are working in that space to be like, hey, have you considered some more basic things, even like smart thermostats or lighting controls? Because yeah, you need to get them something affordable for that monthly rent. What are you doing to also help with utilities and those other
Mhm.
costs that are associated with owning or renting, so
Mhm.
we can help make things affordable across the board?
Which I think is something that doesn't get thought about or brought up probably all that often. It's always the, like, short-term aspect, like you said, of, like, the initial buy, how like, what is the cost there?
Mm-hmm.
But no one's really talking about the long-term cost of owning a house, because even in a new build, like you said, there's always going to be utility costs, and especially we've seen, like, the gas prices go up quite a bit. Electricity has been increasing. So I think everyone's really conscientious right now about how, how well insulated is the house? How, are you able to monitor those things? And a lot of those smart devices really um, are becoming so common now that you can get them at affordable cost points. If, like you said, if you're doing it the right way, you know, earlier in the project, it's going to be cheaper than if you wait till later and have to install, because drywall is already up, and it creates more issues. So I think it's really important that people like you guys are proactive about having those conversations and making sure that um, it's not an afterthought for a lot of those companies, because it's not just saving the people that are building it money, but in the long run for all of the people that would be influenced by that. That's where
Mm-hmm.
it kind of trickles down and into not just cost savings, but ease of life
Yeah.
and things like that. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely. Yeah, I like to think that our industry, the smart home integration, is heading the same direction as, say, like your HVAC person or your plumber. Like the technology is starting to get more complicated. There's more connections. There's more things happening. And yes, well, a lot of my generation, the younger generations, we're all mostly good with computers and that technology. We're not all programmers. We're not thinking through that process, and we don't know everything that exists.
Right.
So people like us are able to come in like your plumber when something goes wrong and be like, hey, we know exactly what's happening. Boom, get it done. If something's on the fritz, say like your smart thermostat, depending on the ones that you get, we can actually help monitor that for you, so we know the minute that you know that it went down, and we can sometimes even remotely go in and fix something. And I don't have to
It's huge.
dispatch someone to your house. You don't have to wait what could be days if it's super busy,
Right.
for someone to be free to help, because we can do a lot of it remotely.
Which,
So that's
especially up here, is really a big deal because you have tons of vacation homes that people
mhm,
only use in the summer, and they're just really cool technology now, like the pipe
yeah,
monitoring, or like water monitoring things,
yep,
and the fact that you can remotely access that for people, because most of them are nowhere near their homes here. They're usually across the country in Florida or something,
yeah,
or Arizona. I think that's a big peace of mind aspect for people, where you're looking at not only like the long term cost savings, right? Because having a flooded basement for a day versus weeks,
mhm.
months, sometimes that's a huge difference. But also, just knowing somebody else is watching it for you is so worth whatever the cost associated is.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's those are always great clients. Yeah, the ones that really value having just complete peace of mind, don't want to
Mhm,
worry, don't want to think, like put all of that on us, so that we're the ones that
mhm.
are like, "Oh, this thing is happening. Hey, let's make sure that somebody gets out there to fix it."
Yeah.
And again, like there's conveniences that can be tied into that. So like we're not plumbers. If your pipe breaks, I might be able to tell you, hey, you have water where there shouldn't be water, but I
Right.
can't fix that.
Right.
But if you actually want to put your normal plumber on file with us, we're happy to send information like, hey, something's wrong here. Client X is on vacation. We've got door controls. Let us know when you're there. We'll get the door opened up. You can head in. We actually set the water valve to shut off automatically when water is detected. So hopefully there's no additional water there. But can you check and see, hey, did something burst? What's going on somewhere?
Mhm.
And get something taken care of. And the client doesn't even have to go home. They don't have to fly back, anything like that.
It's
So yeah,
crazy.
that can be huge, when it comes to
Oh, for sure.
convenience, cost savings, because flying last minute, especially nowadays, can be atrociously
Yeah.
expensive. So I mean, yeah, all of that paid for, by just having that simple, basically like ID and insurance on your planned project.
Yeah, that's amazing. So lots of varieties. Like you said, you guys do a lot of different things. And hopefully this gives people an idea. But I think the best part of it is, how can they how would you propose someone, like if they have something in mind or they have like an issue, how do they get a hold of you? How do people like, work with you guys? What is the process?
Absolutely. So yeah, if you're even remotely thinking about technology for your home or office, and you don't know where to start, contact us. We're happy to help you at least get that idea rolling, because it could be something as simple as, maybe I want to put a new TV up. I haven't had one in 5 years. Great. We'd be happy to talk to you about that. And if it's not something that we particularly can do, or it's not, we can't do it fast enough, or we can't quite meet a budget, something like that, we'll help guide you, at least into the right direction, and say, hey, here's some great options. You can pursue it here. So yeah, anything that you're thinking kind of technology wise, let us know. We're happy to help guide you in any way. I'd say the easiest way to get a hold of us, especially over the vast distance, is our website, which is ecosmarthomepros.com. Our phone numbers are all on there. So whether you want to contact Muskegon or Marquette, you have all of the information. All the emails and information for our associates are all on there. So Mike, who is our technology consultant in the UP, you can follow him on LinkedIn. You can email him. You can actually schedule meetings with him on Zoom directly from the website. You can set an on-site consultation. You can actually pick the time. You don't have to play phone tag with us because we want to make the process as easy as possible for anyone. So whether you prefer email, calendar, Zoom, phone call, we're here to meet on whatever platform you need. And then as for like the rest of the process, typically once we have that first conversation and go, hey, this is kind of what you're looking for. Yes, this is a service we're able to offer you, or hey, we're not quite able to meet what you're looking for. This might be the route for you to go. We'll move on to the next steps, which typically includes getting to know you. So like, what are your priorities? What is your need and what is your want? So we can prioritize and figure out like, okay, these are the things that are most important when we're looking for the solution. If this is possible, great, let's include this. But maybe there's a budget constraint or a time constraint, because we all know that right now shipping is still a huge hassle. The supply chain is still very messed up. And while I'm very proud of the supply chain that we have established, we still do run into issues like printers. Super sorry to all of my clients that know exactly what I'm talking about that are still waiting months later on those. But we're doing our best on that part. And then, yeah, once we get a proposal, we typically have a little bit of additional back and forth as people want to tweak something, or we explain kind of more in depth about why we chose something, do the installation, get through that. And then, yeah, satisfied client who keeps referring people to us, keeps coming back, loves everything that we've been working on.
Unsurprised here with that, because I mean, it really does make a big difference. And even if it's convenience, budget, whatever the thing might be, peace of mind, I don't see how anyone could be disappointed with implementing any of the things that you guys might be able to help with. And either way, just the conversation of, you know, bouncing ideas and, you know, determining like what might be a good direction to start planning for. It doesn't even mean you have to necessarily proceed with anything, but getting a good idea, especially maybe for someone who's looking to build a home or purchase a home, and they have a, you know, a timeline of, you know, I have a budget, a smaller budget, but if I set a, you know, 3-year goal and these are my wants and needs, then, you know, you guys can help them kind of plan things out accordingly, which is great.
Absolutely. Yeah. And some of those are my favorite. I love startup clients. They're always the most like entertaining, I guess, to like build, because you have the imagination goes wild.
Yeah.
And with so many possibilities out there, you can talk to them and be like, hey, like, this isn't something you're going to do next year. Probably, hopefully you can. But maybe in 5 years when you have grown 10x, you can be like, hey, I remember us having this conversation. What exists now? How is it advanced? And we start getting into some of that. Absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing. If anyone would like to check them out, obviously you mentioned the website. I'll post that in the description as well. And I just appreciate you coming on to chat with us. And thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me, Ashley. It's been great talking to you and anyone else that does end up watching this. I appreciate it. And yeah, let us know if there's anything we can help you out with.
Very cool. Thanks everyone for listening, and thank you for listening to this season of the podcast. We'll be wrapping up, and we appreciate everyone that's joined us. There are so many wonderful businesses here in not just Upper Michigan, but all of Michigan. So be sure to support your local small businesses, organizations, and the people who are out there just trying to make a difference. Until next time, thank you so much.